your time to join us today. I'll be sharing the agenda with our 2020 board chair, Don Williamson. Donnie?
Well, thank you, Kim. Good morning, everyone. Today's call is sponsored by Tropicana. Tropicana is a one-of-a-kind dispensary and delivery service located in Santa Ana. They serve the greater Orange County area and are one of the highest rated dispensaries in Southern California. They pride themselves on their level of service and live by their motto, which is, people don't always remember what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel. Thank you, Tropicana, for sponsoring this meeting. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Don. As a reminder, please use the chat button to ask any questions. Send your questions to the chamber host and we will verbally ask them at the appropriate time. At this time, I'd like to welcome our president and CEO, Bobby Spiegel, for a chamber update.
Thank you so much, Kim, and I appreciate all of you being on. Each week, what we try to do is give you a snapshot of the next 90 days. And again, these are different events and programs that are being brought to you by the chamber and many of our business sponsors. So tomorrow night, June 17th, there's an all-chamber mixer, and this is going to be down at the Lake Elsinore Storm, and it's combined with several different chambers. You can contact us if you're interested in attending. All the booths have been sold out. We're happy to report that will be at 3:30 to 7 p.m. They do expect hundreds of people to attend. Admission is just your business card or $1. And don't worry about the dollar. They'll have blank cards there for you to fill it out if you forgot your business cards. But the best way of networking is to have your cards and walk around to the various booths. Next Friday, not this Friday, but on June 25th is our Good Morning Corona breakfast in person and at Eagle Glen. Our featured speaker is Jackie Casillas, the mayor for the city of Corona. Her title is We're Open for Business. That is the State of the City business version. And we are so excited to have her. Please look at the bit.ly of bit.ly/GMC June 2021 so you can register. The next item is a mixer locally here in Corona on July 1st. And we're very excited to be able to bring them back here. They're called Circle City Socials. And what this will be is from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. at the Staybridge Suites in Corona. That's up in the Dos Lagos area. It's a great opportunity for you to make valuable connections with business owners from across our area. If you would like to have a display booth there, please connect with Desiree, as you can see on the slide. Attendance is $10 per member, $20 for prospective members, and space is very limited as far as the exhibit booth. Be sure to register now at bit.ly/the initials CCS for Circle City Social, July 1, and that's again, CCS, July 1. The next slide is our Economic Summit, which is July 22nd. And we're so happy to be able to share about this program. We have combined our efforts with four total chambers, 3 other chambers, 2 of them from the Orange County area and 1 from the San Bernardino County. And this is to bring an economic forecast for inland Southern California. So we would encourage you to plug into that bit.ly of bit.ly/econ forecast July 22nd. I want to mention United Paving as our presenting sponsor, and additional sponsorships are now available. As I've shared every single week, our advocacy is a huge part of our efforts here in Corona. There isn't a time that the legislation slows down on trying to reach into your checkbook, into figuring out ways that they can get more money for the state programs versus being able to allow you to operate. We invest tremendous resources with Jeff Gibson, who will be introduced in a little bit. And I'm very pleased that our chair this year is a former assemblyman, a former city council member, mayor, but he's been a business owner for over 40 years, so he gets it. And that is the Honorable Jeff Miller. You'll be hearing from them a little bit later in our program, but I just wanted to again say thank you for plugging in today. Kim, back to you.
Thank you, Bobby. Anthony, do we have any questions regarding the events?
There are no questions.
All right, then I'll turn it over to Donnie.
Thanks, Kim. As Bobby just said, this call is part of our advocacy outreach, and it's to bring relative topics and to you, our members. being part of this call, being part of the Corona Chamber of Commerce is very important to help you and to help people in business. Every week I leave these calls with information that I don't hear anywhere else that help businesses in every facet, from the local to the federal level. And as part of wanting to educate and empower you, we also want to grow. So if you are on this call and if you're not a member, or if you know someone that should be or benefit from our membership, please contact Robert Yanez. Robert is our membership specialist. He can present in a quick and efficient manner the reasons why, how this chamber can help any specific business, what the benefits are. And we have a staff every day of the week. We have a staff down there working for our membership, working to make businesses make their lives easier. If they have a problem, if you have a problem, you remember, you can give us a call. We'll do what we can for you. So please outreach to Robert. If you're not a member, or if you know someone that should be a member, we are continuing to grow. In fact, we're really having a great period of time right now in our growth of the chamber. The more we are, the more we can learn, the more influence we have for our businesses. So please contact Robert and help the chamber grow. Kim?
Thank you, Donnie. At this time, we will shift to our advocacy segment, where our legislative advocate, Jeff Gibson, will share. Keeping pulse on what's happening in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. can be a full-time job. With Jeff Gibson's thorough and complete research, he helps the Corona Chamber to act timely on projects and initiatives that help make a difference in shaping our community. As owner of Occidental Communications Group, Jeff Gibson takes a 40,000-foot view on most proposed bills, then dissects them to our level and how we as business owners and managers will help be impacted by those proposed bills. His knowledge of complex political issues and the great relationships he has built ensure the Corona Chamber has all the tools to be effective on behalf of the business community. Please help me welcome Jeff Gibson to share a legislative update.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for your kind words. So today we have two quick updates to discuss. The first are the COVID standards. And really, this can be broken down into two decisions that you have to make. Both are wrapped up basically as almost every decision that you have to make. It's not necessarily the impact on today's business, but what kind of liability are you generating going forward in terms of dealing with your employees, with your customers. One, you need to stay in business and flourish today. You need to succeed today. But the other is you don't want to succeed today and leave yourself liable to future issues. And I can guarantee to you that there are going to be future follow-on issues in the courts. There are already state legislatures in Florida, for instance, have passed laws that if you have any interaction with a customer and you have any interaction with a business that works in Florida, that you cannot ask for an electronic or paper record of vaccinations under any circumstance, either to your customers or to your employees. So, and to give you an idea of what the type of impact that has had, Universal, where the governor announced his reopening to a backdrop of Minions yesterday, has announced that they have eliminated all background checks or anything. So you can go to Universal today, and as a guest there, you basically have the same experience that you would have had March 1st, 2020. Disney is doing something similar. Most of the cruise lines have now announced that they are not going to be seeking vaccination passports because they have business units in Florida, and the fine per complaint is $5,000 per person. So it's a pretty hefty fine, and since about 30% of Fortune 500 companies and about 40% of Fortune 1000 companies have operations in Florida, obviously that law has a great deal of effect on the rest of us. So I'm not giving you I'm not trying to make any of this political. I'm trying to give you the straightforward how to keep you operating your business as successfully as possible while reopening. So the first standard that you have to follow is really to look at this from two perspectives, your customer perspective and your employee perspective. Neither are settled at this point. But the biggest piece of this is if you serve customers, you have three choices to make on masks. And the first is that you just adopt an honor system. And you're seeing the honor system in a number of different areas. Trader Joe's does not have any sort of signage anymore. I'm just giving you a couple of examples. Trader Joe's doesn't have any signage anymore on vaccinations or masks or anything. You walk in there and it's February 2020. Costco, from all reports, is going to have signage. I've not been there, but Costco is going to have signage saying that if you are not vaccinated, that you have to wear a mask, but they're not going to ask. And so that's another perspective. So, but in both cases, they're using both companies are using the honor system for dealing with their customers. They're not going to ask. There is very little evidence, and there is a huge amount of legal precedent that it is likely long-term going to be a liability for employers to ask their customers and likely ask their employees for their vaccination status. I know that there is a number of people, a number of leaders in the media, and I know that there are a number of leaders in the government that are giving opposite advice. I'm telling you, there is very little evidence. The courts almost always side with HIPAA on these agreements. So I'm suggesting to you that the likely easiest way for you to do this is to separate your customers and your employees, and you'll see why in a second on these standards. So you can choose to use the honor system. You can choose to have everyone wear masks, or you can require customers to provide proof they are vaccinated. And either that's an electronic passport or a paper passport or any number of different ways. Again, I'm not suggesting that people wear masks or not wear masks. I'm giving you the option as the employer to decide what is best in your business. Employee rules are different and they are changing. The Cal OSHA has had a number of emergency hearings on this. Cal OSHA is the California Occupational Safety and Health Agency. They initially put out rules that had not even been voted on by their board. They had to remove those rules after lobbying from us and hundreds of other employer groups and employers. They are going to be voting on them again on June 17th, but the rules have again not been promulgated. So, which makes them illegal, which takes us back to our initial problem, which, so this is going to be going back and forth. The easiest way for you to live with this, right? So that this becomes a no-minute conversation for you during your operations, and everybody is treated the same, is to just have everybody wear masks. Disney is requiring all of their employees to wear masks until the CDC says that you shouldn't be wearing masks as an employee. The state of California, their overall policy is now attenuated finally to federal policy, which is largely run by the CDC. So if you're a cast member at Disneyland or on Disney property, you are being required to socially distance. You're required to do a health check at home, which is on your honor, and you are required to wear a mask. I'm not suggesting that for you guys, but that's just the way that is. The regulations that are likely to be passed on June 17th, but the enforceability of which I've already discussed is very difficult to explain, are likely going to include masks and social distancing. So for your employees, largely it stays the same. Now, if you'd like to, if you want to take a step forward and get some of your employees to take their masks off during work hours, then you're going to have to make a decision on whether or not you participate either in an emerging but not existent yet state electronic system to track vaccinations around the state on an employer basis. Again, the legality of which is still to be tested in the courts. That doesn't mean that the governor cannot issue executive orders or do any of those things. I'm just suggesting to you that no court has opined on this. So the governor spoke to that yesterday when he reiterated that of the 58 executive orders he has, they will be phasing out on June 30th, July 30th, and September 30th, and that his emergency declaration only runs through October 1st currently, and that he has no plans to extend it unless needed. So the governor is also, we are in agreement with the governor. This is a temporary situation. So the horizon has been identified. We are moving towards it very quickly. But again, you guys didn't get into your business to make sure of people's vaccination status for most of the people on the call. So we're trying to make it as simple for you as possible. The simplest way are the rules generally apply as they did on June 14th, as they do today. Employees have to wear masks and pay attention to social distancing currently. That's probably the easiest way for you guys to handle that. Happy to answer any questions after that. So on businesses with customers and customer service, they can go back to full capacity, and you can go back to any decision you'd like to make on social distancing. So that is not that's not an issue any longer. So in any case, next slide, please. So as we've talked about, we track legislation, and we help you identify public policy issues as they are emerging and understand them in a very straightforward manner. The graph below is the one that I included last month, but I also wanted to discuss it a little bit further. So another couple of unprecedented and unexpected events are happening. The last 2 weeks, we've discussed how employment has not been recovering at the rate that was expected, and that most of the public policy behind that has to do with the fact that still in the state of California, especially, you can, for a number of jobs up to about $22 an hour, actually net more on unemployment than you can than by working. And so that's a disincentive for people to be re-entering the workplace. On the cost side of running your business, I think everyone here on the call has probably noticed that inflation has perked up. It currently stands, as of yesterday, at 6.6% on an annual basis, running through May. Unfortunately, if you look at the goods that are included in arriving at the inflation number, fuel and most food is out of the daily impact inflation number. So you aren't getting a measurement of where those costs are when you look at an inflation rate of running 6.6%. And so that's one of the criticisms of the number now, is that it isn't as far reaching as it has been going back into the 70s and the 80s, when that inflation number, the late 60s to early 80s, when that inflation number was a critical thing that many of us would have been discussing if we were on a call like this at that point. The other part that is something that you should be aware of is that even though almost every state in the union was more open in May than they were in April, that consumer spending dipped substantially month over month. So consumer costs were up about 1.8%. Consumer spending was down about 1.8%. And hiring was up, but inflation was up as well. So this isn't so far we're not looking at stagflation. as we had in the early 70s and the late in the late 70s, where the economy was strong, but inflation was running high and wages were being uh, uh, the actual wage capacity was being undercut because of rising expenses. So that was something that we're not facing currently, but we are facing a situation where employment is not coming back as strongly as is needed or as expected. Inflation is running much, much higher than it has for its historic mean. And for most people on the call, for what you would have been facing for most, if not all, of your working life. And that consumer spending is also down, despite the economy being substantially more open in May than it was in April. So if you think about it in terms of there were substantially more people in the marketplace, there should have been a very large increase. Most economists were picking a very, very large increase in consumer spending. In May, that was going to be funding a number of major expansions in manufacturing capacity and food production capacity, and so we've not experienced that yet. And with the threat of inflation and the actual issue of inflation, it's likely not going to be improving in the month of June either. So that's something to be aware of. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, and we can go from there.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Anthony, do we have any questions for him?
We have one question for Jeff so far, and this goes back to the issue of vaccinations and opening up. If vaccinations are not 100% accurate, how can this be real?
How can this be real? I think from a public policy standpoint, you have to from a running your business standpoint, you need to make the decision what is going to be the factor that determines how you deal with the public, how you work with your employees. And the issue of vaccinations themselves obviously is very contentious. I think if all of us on the call gave our full opinion, we could have 23 opinions precisely on vaccinations. From the very, very good, you absolutely have to do it, to wariness, to kind of throwing up your hands. And this is one of the reasons why we have strived as a nation over 250 years and through almost 30 different pandemics not to shut down, because it's very difficult to restart something that's been shut down, like an economy that accounts for roughly 30% of the production in the world and roughly 60% of the consumer spending. So this is a very difficult thing. That's why our advice is, as an employer, to try and steer clear of the vaccination issue altogether. And if you are dealing with customers, then determine one of those three items that and Anthony, can you put the slide back up? So the first slide, please. So first slide, there you go, thank you. That you can either choose the honor system, Costco, Disney, a number of different companies put out very heartfelt statements that they have the best customers, the best guests, the best partners in the world, and that they trust that all of them, if they walk into their facility not wearing a mask, are vaccinated, and that they'll take their word for it. If that's good enough for many of those companies who have put a great deal of investment into the legalities around that, that is fairly good advice for you. The second is that you just require everyone to wear masks. Just say, hey, until all of this reaches a conclusion and someone rings a bell, everyone just has to wear masks. Or the third is the more difficult one, where you have to establish a policy of that your customers, guests, however you want to define them, are going to have to prove to you at the entrance of your location that they have been vaccinated. And there's a number of different ways to do that. And so that's that is probably the solution that is going to take the most time for you to implement on a customer by customer basis. But it's your option to do so. So.
Thank you, Jeff. And we actually had one more question come in.
Sure.
My health is my business. How can it be constitutional for someone else to ask me what my health status is? Isn't that discrimination to ask?
It's well, that gets back into the penny's worth of advice that I gave at the throughout this, is that despite the findings of the governor, that there is a federal law in place that ensures that you have full and complete authority over your healthcare information. And if you want to share it with somebody, you can share it with somebody. If you don't want to share it with anybody, then that's what privacy comes in. That was widely discussed in Congress. It was widely discussed on a nationwide basis. It was implemented by a bipartisan group of officials. It has been held up in court every single time it has been challenged. There are people sitting in jails right now for violating it. And in this case, because we're told it's a public safety emergency, that those rules can be relaxed. I'm telling you, as someone who's been in public policy for 30 years, that those same people that are saying they're relaxed will not be standing next to you if you are sued. They will not be here in 5 years when you are in some sort of settlement discussion with an aggrieved party on issues like this. That's why we're giving you just the easiest way to do this is to treat your employees the same and as nicely as possible on June 16th as you did on June 14th, until the governor relieves all of the orders and removes all of the emergency actions, which he currently has scheduled for October 1st. Then just be very careful in how you do that, and you can spend the most amount of your time running your business and working with your employees. That's the easiest way to do that. And so, yes, I'm very sympathetic to that for a number of years. And again, and that was a bipartisan rule, that your healthcare information is your healthcare information. And in most sections of the healthcare economy, you can still sue people for misusing your healthcare information, which is why I'm kind of just giving you some strategic advice here that as we move out of this, and you may have already seen this, for me, for instance, driving around where I live and in my daily life on June 14th, I saw a number of people in cars with masks, walking on the streets with masks, exercising with masks. June 15th, I woke up, went about my early day and throughout the day, and I think I saw 2 masks. And so you get into 2023 when any sort of legal action could be taken against you, or 2022 when any sort of legal action could be taken against you. The passion of today and the legislators of today and the governor of today aren't going to be standing next to you. The guys that are thumping on you saying, you need to wear masks, you need to ask for vaccination information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what you're going to be dealing with is legal precedent. And legal precedent almost always sides with the individual keeping their information private. And that's the easiest way for you to deal with that, is just say, I sell goods, I sell services. I am not in this business to verify people's vaccination status and their private life decisions. So if you come in here, you either have to wear a mask or you don't. If you don't, I'm assuming that you are vaccinated or doing something that is required by the state of California, but that's your business, not mine. And just follow along that way.
Thank you so much, Jeff. There are no further questions.
All right, thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Jeff, for sharing that information with us. A reminder, the Corona Chamber does have boxes of masks for free through a partnership with the County of Riverside. If you need additional masks for your employees, please contact the staff at the Chamber to assist you. All right, Donnie.
Thank you, Kim. Once again, we'd like to thank today's sponsor of this call, Tropicana. They have a streamlined check-in method that eliminates all the hassle and demanding personal information. They dedicate themselves to providing clear information on all of their products in ways that everyone can understand. Learn more at thetropicanalife.com. Kim.
Excuse me. Thank you, Donnie. If you would like to sponsor a future business briefing, please connect with the Chamber. Register now to join us next Wednesday for more advocacy news. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Our meeting is adjourned.